Hello everybody, hello, and welcome to the first of a series of lives that I'm going to be doing in this group on a Thursday at 12:30 every week. So starting this week, and each week I'm going to be covering a different topic on things that matter with menopause, hence the title Menopause Matters. So today I am going to be focusing on moods and motivation when it comes to the menopause, moods and motivation are so important and so affected by women going in their 40s and into their 50s. So if that's you and that is something you're struggling with, then you'll definitely want to be coming along and watching this. And if you have questions, you can just pop them into the comments, and if we've got time at the end, I will answer them. I'm going to try and keep this to maximum 20 minutes each week, so that it's not dragging on for ages, but I'm going to cover as much as I can in that time. Now, also don't forget, each month I run a more in-depth masterclass. It's on a the next one is on Monday the 25th, so next Monday at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. If you would like the link for that, if you haven't already registered, then just pop the word masterclass into the comments on this video, and I will make sure that you get the link to register for that. I'll explain a little bit more about it at the end, but for now let's talk about moods and motivation, and what is it that causes us to have these fluctuating moods and issues with motivation during our perimenopause and menopause years, and is it just because of the loss of sex hormones or the changing sex hormones, or are there other factors at play? If you're here watching live, do say hello and let me know, because I can't see who's watching. And if, as I said at the beginning, if you've just joined, if you want to ask questions, pop them in the comments, and with what time I've got left, I will answer them at the end. So, of course, the loss of estrogen and progesterone has an impact on, or can have an impact on our moods and our drive, our energy, our motivation to do things. But it doesn't happen for everybody. And when we talk about mood issues during this time, for some people it's mood swings. So you can be going from very low to very high. You can be feeling great one minute, and then the next day, for no apparent reason, you can be feeling really low. And then we've got people who are constantly feeling low mood, depressed, or for longer periods of time. You know, there's such variations in moods. And then we've got people who have very anxious feelings, so feelings of anxiety most of the time. So there's different elements to it. There's not just one effect on the moods. And mood swings can be due to the wild fluctuations in our hormones, especially in the earlier part of perimenopause, when estrogen starts to go a bit crazy, and we tend to just steadily lose our progesterone production. And for some people, for some women, it falls away quicker. And there's reasons for that. And there are things that you can do to help maintain a bit more progesterone production, but not that you can stop progesterone declining during perimenopause and into menopause, because that's obviously a natural thing. But there are things that we can do, like stress management, etc., to help ease that process. But for some people, estrogen starts to go wildly crazy, and that can really cause these mood swings of kind of very high estrogen and then very low. And that can have a massive impact on our moods. Anxiety, again, can be related to hormonal changes for sure. There is a correlation, and that is one of the symptoms of perimenopause for some women. But there are other factors. Depression for some, and loss of motivation and loss of general joy can be a factor of losing your sex hormones, especially estrogen. And sleep can be affected, waking up in the night lots of times, night sweats, which in turn can affect moods. And that can be loss of estrogen and it can be loss of progesterone. So sleep can be really affected, and that has a massive knock-on effect. And then there's cognitive changes can affect our motivation as well. And we can feel less mentally sharp and less capable of doing things, and that can in turn affect our moods when we don't feel that we're able to operate and perform, perhaps in work or perhaps at home, in the way that we have always done. But it's really important to note that not everybody experiences the same mood and motivation changes, and there are big variations in the severity and the symptoms that you experience. Now, for some, HRT can certainly help, and if your mood issues are directly related to your loss of sex hormones, then HRT can be the answer for you, or it can at least be part of the answer. But in my opinion, HRT should never be the sole approach when you are going through perimenopause and menopause, because there are so many other things that we need to look after when it comes to our health and how our bodies operate. And there's lots of other things that are affected. So just kind of putting all your eggs in one basket for HRT isn't the answer. And for some women, they'll find that actually HRT can make their symptoms worse if the type of HRT is wrong, or the dose is wrong, or perhaps you don't need it yet, or you're given the wrong, the wrong types, the wrong dose. So that's something that if you feel that your moods have deteriorated on HRT, you need to go back to whoever prescribed it and speak to them about it. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today, because I'm not medically trained, so I can't guide people or advise on HRT. But I want to talk about what else affects the moods and motivation during the perimenopause and menopause years, and post-menopause. Let's not forget, it doesn't just stop once we hit menopause and no longer have a period. There is a period of change that occurs, and that doesn't happen straight away. So the first thing that I want to talk about is your blood sugar. There are so many women, in fact, that pretty much everybody that I work with has issues of some sort with their blood sugar control. And this certainly gets worse excuse me, during the perimenopause and menopause years. Loss of estrogen and progesterone can affect our ability to control our blood sugar. It affects our ability to something called insulin sensitivity. So our sensitivity to the hormone insulin, which is one of the key hormones that helps us to control our blood sugar. So when somebody has something like low blood sugar, so hypoglycemic episodes or diagnosed hypoglycemia, that in itself can lead to irritability, mood swings, and it can be hard to concentrate. Now, one thing to say is that there's a lot of women that I work with who just start to notice massive improvements in their moods, anxiety levels, and mood swings just by working on their blood sugar control and improving their ability to control their blood sugar. So it's something that should not be underestimated, just how important it is. It's so important. And then we've got anxiety can be related to hypoglycemia, fatigue and irritability, difficulty concentrating, and then blood sugar swings. So going from high to low and high and low can also give us feelings of 1 minute being excessively energetic and then the next minute feeling very fatigued. And don't forget, as I said at the beginning, blood sugar becomes a lot harder to control during this time because of going through perimenopause and menopause, because of the changes to our sex hormones. That is real, that is a thing. So your blood sugar control may be worse now than it was before you hit perimenopause. And then, or menopause. So that's blood sugar. The next big topic, and the one that I probably talk about the most, there's not many people in the menopause space talking about this, and it is a huge topic. And as far as I'm concerned, it is fundamental and foundational because it affects everything. And I don't think you can really get true improvements in health if this isn't dealt with, and this is mineral balance and mineral ratios. So there are certain minerals which directly affect our moods and our energy production, motivation, etc. I'm going to talk about a few of these. There are lots, and I haven't got time to go into it all, but I want to just give you an idea of what which minerals can actually really impact. But I am going to put a proviso on this, is that what I don't suggest is that you just go out and start supplementing these individual minerals. It is never a good idea to take individual minerals unless you know that you are deficient in them, and you also understand what other minerals can be pushed out of balance, and what cofactors, minerals and vitamins are required in order for you to actually utilize and absorb them. So please don't just, think that, oh, right, I've got low moods and you're telling me that X, Y, or Z is contributes to moods, therefore I should go and take them. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm wanting to do is educate and open up different ideas to you so that you can understand a little bit more about what might be going on for you. So the first one is a big one. It's magnesium, and magnesium is the relaxation mineral. It calms your nervous system. It works in opposition with calcium, or it works alongside calcium. Calcium constricts muscles, and magnesium relaxes them, which is why it's very important for sleep, and a lot of people are lacking it. Low levels leads to increased stress, anxiety, and mood swings. It's also required for the production of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin. So in order to make to convert tryptophan to serotonin, you'll probably know is your well-being and happiness neurotransmitter, very important one, and magnesium is needed for that, but it's also needed for over 600 different functions in the body, different enzymatic processes in the body. It is a master mineral. It's one of the top 4 macro minerals in the body, meaning that it's one of the 4 that we need the most of, and it's severely lacking for most people. Now, I recommend, unless you mineral test and you know what your magnesium levels are, a little bit of supplementation is okay, but you don't want to be mega dosing because you can cause problems with other minerals, let me tell you. A little bit's okay, but using things like magnesium chloride in the bath is a good idea. Using magnesium, Epsom salts as well. I prefer personally magnesium. My nails are terrible. I've got to keep my hands out of the way. They're all chipped. Anyway, magnesium, Epsom salts are one. If you do use those, do make sure that you drink lots of water because they're quite dehydrating. Magnesium chloride is my preference in the bath. So that's a good way to get a nice gentle transdermal magnesium dose. Then the next one is zinc. So zinc deficiency is linked to depressive disorders when it's severe deficiency. I'm not just talking a little bit of deficiency, but severe deficiency. Zinc is required for the proper function of neurotransmitters again. So helps with things like GABA, which calms and relaxes the nervous system, serotonin I mentioned, and dopamine, which is associated with pleasure. So it's very important for those, and also for cognitive function and memory. So zinc is another one. Iron deficiency is another. It can lead to fatigue, irritability, and low moods. But it's not always, with iron, it's not always a lack of it. It's very often a lack of an ability to mobilize it and to utilize it. Most people, if you eat plenty of animal products, especially meat, you are unlikely to be lacking in enough iron going into your body. So deficiency, we have to look at other things. We can't just look at, I never really supplement with iron for lots of different reasons, too much to go into now. Another one is calcium. So most often I see an excess on tests with the type of clients that I work with. So the women I work with who tend to be slow metabolizers, tired, fatigued, can't lose weight, all of those things. Calcium, for probably 80% of them, tends to be too high. It's in excess, and there's lots of reasons for that. But too much calcium is sedative, and it slows you down. It has a very slowing down effect on the body and on the metabolism. It's one of the factors that actually slows down your metabolism. It's actually quite a numbing mineral. And then this big one, I've left it to last. It's because it's a very, very important one. And I think that there is a lot more of this in a problematic way than most people realise, and this is copper. Now, you might not know or think of copper as an essential mineral. It is. We need it in the right amounts in the body. If we have deficiency in it, we're going to know about it. What I see a lot of is excess copper, either very, very high, showing on a test, or if it's not showing up, it's because it's hidden and it's become bio-unavailable. And when that happens, you don't just get the effects of too much copper, but you also get the effects of too little copper. So you get symptoms of both. Copper is massively related to mental health. And I see it a lot, and it's very prevalent with women, especially if you have ever been on the pill, or you have copper water pipes, or you have used the copper coil, or had copper contraceptive implants or injections, anything like that. Then there is usually copper is a problem in the body. But as I said before, you must always test before supplementing, especially things like copper, because you really don't want to be getting that wrong, and you need somebody who can analyse and interpret the test properly. Okay, so we've talked about blood sugar, I've talked about minerals. Now I'm going to talk about thyroid. So thyroid is another big one, and there are millions of women walking around with suboptimal thyroid function who may or may not have been to the GP and may or may not have been told that there's nothing wrong with their thyroid. Now, there may not be a problem with producing thyroid hormone from the thyroid gland, okay? That doesn't mean that the thyroid system is working properly. The gland is part of a bigger system, but you have to think about what happens to that thyroid hormone after it has been produced. Does it go through the necessary conversion processes, and can it get into the cells? And pretty much every cell in your body requires thyroid hormone. Can it get in there? Can it latch onto receptors? Can it do its job to rev up your metabolism and keep you going? If the answer is no to any of that whole system, then you have suboptimal thyroid function. But if you're tested by your GP, they're only looking at one aspect, and that is the production. So that's why so many women are walking around with thyroid systems that are not working as they should, and they have all the symptoms, but they're told that nothing's wrong with their thyroid. Now, giving them thyroxine, it would not be the answer, but there are lots of things that can be done to rev up and improve that thyroid system. So the thyroid is really strongly linked to lots of mental health and mood issues. It's linked to depression and low moods. It's linked to fatigue, which is a hallmark of hypothyroidism or underactive thyroid. It impacts your motivation, your drive. It affects mental sluggishness, so it can, cause brain fog, hard to concentrate. Everything slows down when there isn't enough thyroid hormone getting into the cells and being able to do the job it needs to do inside those cells. So that's why when I'm working with women, if they've got mood issues, if they tell me that, and I'm looking at the whole picture, I'm looking at everything, thyroid is one that I always look at. And again, the mineral test gives me a lot of information about thyroid function at a cellular level, which you can't get from doing blood thyroid tests. And then finally, and this isn't the ones that I'm talking about today are not the only contributors to mood issues. I've just picked the top 5 that I see a lot of. But there are many more, which it'd be too long to cover just in this live. And I am at 20 minutes, so I'm going to really speed up now. So adrenals is the final one. And often when there's suboptimal adrenal function, there's also issues with the, thyroid problems. There's also issues with the adrenals. And again, it can lead to fatigue, feeling burnt out, worn out, stress and anxiety can be caused by an imbalance in cortisol production. For some, depression because of adrenal insufficiency, brain fog, irritability. So similar to the thyroid symptoms as well. So I hope that was helpful. If there's any questions, I will go back. I'm not going to have time now, but I will answer them on the comments on the video. If you're watching this on replay, please do put your questions and I will endeavour to answer them. And don't forget the masterclass where I'm going to be going into all of this and many more symptoms in a lot more detail. The next one is on Monday, the 25th of September, this coming Monday, 7:30 p.m. on Zoom, and I will go into everything in more detail. If you would like the link for that to register, just pop the word masterclass into the comments and I will make sure to get you the link to register for that. If you are struggling with symptoms, mood issues or something else and you're ready to do something about it, you can just pop a comment in the actually no, what I'll do, I'll put my link to book a call with me in the comments and you can use that link to book a call with me. If you've been to the masterclass, I do like people to have watched the masterclass because then they get a much clearer idea of how I work and what I do before we speak. But you can still book a call and then come to the masterclass if you'd like to. All right. I hope that was helpful. I will be back next Wednesday. Not Wednesday, it's Thursday. I will be back next Thursday at 12:30 with next week's topic, which I haven't decided yet, but I will decide soon and I will share in the group. All right, take care. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.